We are in the club today, joined by Kimberly Spino, Director of Licensing and Trademarks at Indiana University, and Erika Austin, Director of Trademarks and Licensing at Michigan State University. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
It's always exciting anytime we have folks that are in leadership and licensing and working with brands, and both of you come from a conference, the Big Ten, that has a ton of history, filled with legends, leaders, institutions that paved the way in higher ed. What goes into managing two storied Big Ten brands? There's a lot of brand power and a lot of brand equity that you both oversee.
That's a great question. For myself at Michigan State, I've only been there 3 years.
Okay.
But my determining factor of going to Michigan State was because of the brand and because of it being so nationally
Everyone knows Sparty.
Yes. And I'm a Big Ten girl. I went to Indiana University, worked at Purdue University, now at Michigan State.
Yeah.
So I've always been a Big Ten fan. And I think when you're in the Big Ten, you get to admire the other schools within the Big Ten. And there's a list of schools that you admire and you're like, wow, their brand is awesome. They do a lot of great things. They have great fans. They win. There's all kinds of things that you admire. And I just think that the Big Ten has been able to be sustainable in that.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of awesome licensing directors within the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
And quite honestly, that's what makes it fun to be part of the Big Ten, is working with all the great licensing directors and all the schools and the history. And we're so close to each other, both on and off playing surfaces, that we really get to know each other well and really help mentor each other as we're moving along.
I would imagine there's a little competitive spirit, too, that go along with Big Ten athletics when you dive into the brands.
Yeah, I agree. Erika, I think, explained that really well. I'm also just over 3 years now at Indiana. So, and this is the second time I've lived in the Midwest area. So I was in Ohio for a couple of years before moving to Texas, and I was down in Texas for about 10 years before taking the job at Indiana. But I saw it as just a great opportunity for my career.
Absolutely.
And I have always heard that the Big Ten licensing directors, that particular group, has been an awesome group to work with. So that made me excited joining Indiana. But also the brand itself has, like, as you said, so much history. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot to work with there. And we continue to find creative ways to grow the brand and, things that we've done with even just Martha the Mop Lady this past year. And the tradition.
For our listeners, Martha the Mop Lady, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Martha was developed, it was a commercial for an insurance commercial back in the 70s.
Okay.
And she would sing the fight song, and our fans really enjoyed it. And then she went away for a while, and then the basketball program brought her back. And so now at the beginning of every game, a home game, they play the commercial of her singing. And you can find videos on YouTube of this, but the whole arena will join in and sing with her.
That's amazing.
And it brings chills, like goosebumps every time I watch the video. Yeah. So we were able to launch a Martha the Mop Lady program, license program with her name, image, and likeness. So that's been really fun. And it's just kind of one of those unique characters that we've brought back to life.
Yeah.
And that's just not a traditional mascot, So just things like that has just been really unique and fun.
So was Martha cartoon or a real Martha?
So she was actually an opera singer. And she's dressed up as basically a cleaning lady, and she has a mop, and
Wait, so is Martha still with us?
No, the original Martha, I believe, passed away.
Oh, okay.
But there are some, I think, later women that have played her, and so they've kind of brought her back. And she's just become like a beloved part of basketball tradition.
This is so cool.
It is really cool.
Love that.
It is really cool. And that's the cool thing about the Big Ten as well. There is a lot of competition.
Yeah.
We know when to pick our battles. And so we won't talk too much smack when during football season, we know which Big Ten schools are going to talk
Make sure you've got the leverage.
Yes, and then during basketball. But, the other good thing about the Big Ten is we're not just powerhouse in football and basketball. Women's basketball is awesome in the Big Ten, and then gymnastics and hockey. And it's been really exciting to see the 4 new schools come into the Big Ten, and they've really dominated in some sports in the Big Ten. And so it's been funny. Like some of us that we call our legacy Big Ten schools, we'll say, well, dang, we would have won the Big Ten this year if Oregon wouldn't have come in, or if UCLA wouldn't have come in, or and so we do pick our battles of when to be competitive and when to smack talk a little bit and have fun. But I think all in all, even though we're competitive and we have our own individual traditions, we still have a lot of commonality as well. And we still face the same issues on campus and the same struggles. And we have the same topics that we have to talk about that, to really help us get through it. So it is fun when we get together, or even like today, hearing about Martha, that it is fun to see that. It's fun to visit the other Big Ten campuses and really see, what happens on their campus and learn their traditions. And then also just see how they handle game day atmosphere and licensed programs and, what can we beg, borrow, and steal from those other programs.
I think imitation is always the greatest form of flattery.
Right, that's right.
But when it comes to those traditions, you've got 4 new campuses that have joined the Big Ten in recent years. It's always been a conference that has expanded through the years. I mean, I can remember back when Penn State first joined. So it's cool to see those traditions continue to grow and accommodate additional brands. When you think about, though, the 2 campuses both of you represent, you've got some unique traditions, from the Midnight Madness at Michigan State to the greatest weekend in college is what they call it. It's a bike race at Indiana.
Little 5.
Little 500,
What are some of your favorite traditions for each of your campuses that stand out to you in your 2 years at Michigan State, 3 years at Indiana?
Well, the thing that I like most about Michigan State is we have so many living alums. I think that our figure is close to 600,000 living alums.
It's just a few people.
Yeah, just a few. And it's amazing. Like, I just got back from a Caribbean cruise, and there were several MSU fans on my cruise ship, and I'm thinking, I'm in St. Thomas and I'm hearing a go green, and so I do think that is one of my favorite traditions, is just a rally call of go green. I remember when I first got to Michigan State, I didn't know what to say after someone said go green to me. And the same when I was at Purdue, I didn't know what to say after someone said boiler up, and so I think just learning those little things and getting immersed in your community,
I love that.
Is key when you first get to a new school. But definitely our rally call. What tugs at my heartstring every men's basketball game, is that we honor a veteran before every men's basketball game, and we bring him out onto the court, and they talk about his bio and his history and where he served, and then the crowd stands up, claps, and it just then it goes into the national anthem, and then it goes into the student athletes coming over and individually shaking that veteran's hand. And I just think that just warms my heart every time that I see that, because it's just something that Coach Izzo has really wanted to do. And he does a great job with promoting the basketball program at Michigan State.
That's amazing. And I think, within the Big Ten, too, you've got legendary coaches that reside. You've both had them at your institutions through the years. And just hearing how traditions can come from that stat, that's cool.
Yeah.
What about you for Kimberly?
Well, I think also one of the things that drew me to Indiana is having the rich history of basketball program, because I went to UCLA for undergrad. So first thing is it was exciting for me that UCLA joined the
Big Ten school.
So being an alum. but also with UCLA's history of basketball and growing up watching UCLA basketball, and then now being able to work for an institution that also has a very strong basketball, history. That really drew me also to Indiana, and so I think just the fan base and we also have a very large alumni. Yeah. We have over, I think, 800,000 now for IU. It's
just some of that competitive spirit.
Right, that's right.
I was like, I heard that 800.
Yes, I heard you.
So that I find just the
game day traditions,
of that, and just the loyalty, the fan loyalty. I think to the basketball program. I can resonate with that, just being that way when growing up with UCLA.
I love that. And, for yourself, Erika, the Go Green, it really hit home for me. So I went to the University of Iowa, go Hawks.
Yeah.
But every time I'm in an airport, I always see someone with the Tiger Hawk on. And I yell it across the airport and they yell it back. And it's just, my wife always cracks up. She's like, without a doubt, you're going to find someone that's a Hawkeye. And you guys just yell it at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My dad, it's funny, when I worked at Texas, my dad would always wear Texas gear, because my parents live in California still. And now that I'm in Indiana, that's all he wears is Indiana gear. Mm-hmm. And he says every time he goes out, there's somebody, that recognizes it, or, will say, go Hoosiers. And they always talk about, like my daughter went to IU, or my uncle went to IU, or my grandfather went to IU. And like, they always have the most positive things to say. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's really cool. And even being in California, my dad will experience alums just in the LA area.
I think that's one of the things that just has always stood out to me about the Big Ten is all of the brands have this national recognition, and to that point, that brand loyalty that goes through the generations. And whether or not even if you went there, you find that affinity towards the brand. So I love that. That's cool. When you think about how you got started in licensing, if we rewind a little bit, it's an industry that Myra and I, we've uncovered. Not many people know that it exists. You kind of find your way into it. How did your journey start in collegiate licensing?
We talk about this a lot, especially as we're trying to continue to grow the licensing professionals. And I think all of us will say, like, we did not go to college to be licensing directors. No. I don't know that there is anyone that went to college to be a licensing director. And I think all of us fell into it and it became our careers. Yeah. I'm so thankful that I fell into it and it became my career. I started in licensing as the licensing director at the NCAA back in 2003.
Okay.
I actually started in college athletics as a sports information director. That's what it was called back in the day. I'm old. It's now called like sports communications.
Okay.
But I actually worked in athletics and was an assistant athletic director, and really got burnt out with athletics. I had done it for numerous years and was just really tired of athletics. And so I got out of athletics and went into corporate America and stayed in communications because my degree is in journalism. Then I started missing athletics again. And I was working for a pharmaceutical company in Indianapolis as a brand manager.
Okay.
And the position came open at the NCAA. And I really, in complete honesty and transparency, did not know what the job entailed.
Yeah.
I read the job description, and it had keywords in it that I knew I could finagle my resume. It had brand manager in it. It had contracts, communications, marketing. And I did have a background in all those things. So I said, well, I'm going to go for it. I know quite a few people that work at the NCAA and, just keep my fingers crossed and hopefully I get this position. But I didn't really know what I was getting into when I took the position. But that's how I started, was at the NCAA. I was in an area called corporate alliances. And so not only did I manage the licensing program, but I managed all of the NCAA's equipment supplier agreements. So signing like Wilson to their official ball agreements and some of our other great official suppliers that we had there. And then I had a set of championships that I would be on site for and working with our corporate champions and partners for activations on those. And then premium products and promotional products and those kind of things kind of fell in play there. But that's how I got started, was at the NCAA and really just kind of fell into the position.
Yeah. That's interesting, the background in athletics and then getting burned out a little bit and then the itch comes back.
Yeah. The position that I had in athletics, I traveled a lot. I did mostly the women's sports. So I traveled with volleyball when I was at Texas. And then when I went to South Carolina, I traveled with volleyball and women's basketball. And then when I got to Georgia Tech, again, all the women's sports mainly, and then worked game day football. And it was a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And your schedule was based on the team's competition schedule. So, there wasn't much going home at Christmas or going home for Thanksgiving or, those things, because you were always on the road. So you do get burnt out pretty quickly with that, but you also miss it when you're out of it. And so I was just thankful that I was able to get back into athletics after being out for a little while.
That's awesome. What about you, Kimberly?
So my first, experience in licensing, I didn't really realize it at the time. I did a 2-year internship with Adidas as a licensed property manager assistant. And this is back when Adidas had on-campus reps.
Oh, okay.
So UCLA was with Adidas at the time. I think I did this from 2007 to 2009. So I assisted the licensed property manager, the rep on campus, and got to order a bunch of cool products for the athletes and manage the budgets, and took coaches shopping in Santa Monica for their personal allotments. It was actually really fun.
That would have been super fun.
That would have been fun.
Pre the internet, just here's your code, go shop, right?
Yeah.
I would have loved it.
Yeah. So it was a really fun job. But my goal was to go into collegiate athletics.
Yeah.
So that was like part of Adidas and athletics. It all kind of meshed together. And then I had started in the collegiate route by doing an internship with NACDA.
Sure.
And getting my master's in sports administration at Ohio University, and then coming down to Texas to work in marketing at Sam Houston State, and then also got into sponsorships a little bit too. But that's where I also dived into licensing.
Yeah.
Is my boss at Sam, he oversaw licensing, and so I got to start reviewing artwork. And I think by the 3rd year, I was managing the baseball merchandise sales at the baseball game as like a
making sure Sandy Bearcat looks
assigned.
good.
Right. Duties as assigned.
Yeah, as duties assigned. So that's how I started dabbling more into licensing, and it just kind of stuck with me. And even though I probably could have gone in 3 different directions, when the position came open at Texas to do full-time licensing for the UT system institutions,
How do you not jump?
It was like a calling, and I just knew that was what I wanted. And then the rest is history. I never looked back since.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would imagine through both of these paths, there's folks that have served as mentors or inspired you. Who comes to mind when you think about who's kind of helped coach you through the years to be in the leadership positions you're in today?
Oh, I would definitely say several individuals, past and present, from the Collegiate Licensing Company, or CLC, who was the agency that the NCAA had when I was there, and still the agency for the NCAA. Again, because I knew nothing about licensing, like absolutely nothing. And CLC, Corey Moss, some individuals that are either gone on into other areas of licensing, but I think about like Olin, who was at CLC, and he went to Georgia, and now he's with a licensee. But there was this core group, like Kit Walsh, there's some like old names that are either still in the industry or have moved on. But that collective group at CLC really took me under their wing and really taught me everything that I needed to know. And it was an accelerated program. And it was definitely, learning on the job. But if it wasn't for CLC, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I had, because they really took the time to help me. And they really served as a great agency for the NCAA as I was there. So
That's
I would
amazing.
definitely say CLC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for me it was just the relationships I've built through ICLA over the years, and some of them are coming from CLC or Learfield licensing partners previously. I remember Brian Eubank used to be at Learfield, and he helps with, I think, the Sam Houston account, if I recall. And I saw learning from him and meeting him. Actually, no, maybe it was Texas. Yeah, getting the years mixed up. But yeah, so Brian I still love chatting with him about everything, and he's doing such a great job at Old Dominion. Yeah, he's awesome. But I mean, aside from that, just the relationships I built through ICLA and being on the board, and of course, Craig's guidance of 6.5 years has been tremendous. And I just feel very fortunate to work with some great minds in the business.
Yeah.
So. As you were saying earlier, a lot of people might not understand what licensing is. And so we find ourselves needing to talk to other licensing directors or licensees or retailers or members of ICLA, because they might be the only ones that understand our language. It's like we're speaking a foreign language if we're not speaking to them. So when you get in this, I'm so thankful for like ICLA. I was part of the mentorship program as a mentee, and now as a mentor. And it really helped a lot.
For our listeners, the mentorship program, what is that?
So
exactly?
It is a program that is sponsored through ICLA, which is our industry trade association, I would classify it as, where most of our licensing directors from all over universities are members of ICLA, as well as retailers and licensees. And they have a mentorship program that for individuals that are new to licensing can go through the program, and they're paired with more established licensing directors as well as a licensee. And you really get out of it what you put in from the mentee. But I've had some great mentees, and we usually meet once a month and just talk about what's going on their campus, what questions they have, what things they want to try. It's really just kind of like a help me help you session. And I went through it, and Trey Ham from one of our licensees was actually my mentor. And then, which was interesting because he was one of my main licensees when I was at the NCAA also. So it was fun to reconnect with him that way. But it's a great program. And I think any young professional that is in licensing and is a member of ICLA should really check out the mentorship program, because it's a great way to build that network and to have the comfort of individuals that get you and get what you're going through and understand the industry. And we might not always have the answers, but we have plenty of resources that we can connect them to and help them build their toolbox.
Do you think you're doing anything, because no one went to school to become a licensing director, are you guys doing things on campus to try and encourage people to find this as a career base? Or it's taking you guys to great places, so how do you pass it on?
Yeah, so we have an intern in our office. So every year we have an internship program. So that's definitely fun. And, we look at different colleges on our campus to see where we might pull applicants from. Some might be in like the legal side. Some might be in the marketing side. Some might be on the entrepreneurial track. I think that's the one good thing about licensing. Like a lot of people ask me, "Oh, do you have a law degree?" And I'm like, "Oh, no way." There's absolutely no way. But I think a lot of people think you need a law degree, and I don't think you necessarily need a law degree. I think if you have some expertise in marketing or interest in marketing, that's always helpful in communications. I think for a lot of us licensing directors, we're trying to shift the focus of people thinking that licensing equals compliance, and we're just the no cops and the brand police, and we are really trying to shift that focus and get people to understand that licensing is just an extension of marketing. You have a product that you want to market out to consumers for consumers to purchase. It's no different than what you might be doing to get ticket sales or, concession sales or anything else. And it really is more that brand management and brand marketing. So we're working with individuals on campus and departments on campus that might be interested in that. I speak at a lot of classes, a lot of marketing classes to talk about my path and how I got here. And I am hoping that more young professionals get interested in licensing because it's actually pretty fun, I think.
It's amazing. And it translates. I mean, the collegiate, I think, is really the funnest because think of all the things you get to touch.
Right.
But when you think about licensing and trademarks, I mean, there's such a vast corporate locations that are always Coca-Cola, Nike, Adidas, like all of these brands that have these iconic images, the polar bears with Coca-Cola.
Yes.
Obviously someone lives in Atlanta.
Yes.
But those are the type of things that I think about. And again, I've spent 20 plus years on campus working with trademarks and licensing. And at no point am I like, how do we get people to find this amazing opportunity that has such upward growth?
Right. And both Kimberly and I graduated from Ohio University, their sports management program. And I've even talked to them about, can you make it a portion of a curriculum? Mm-hmm. Like if you're doing a legal class, okay, we can talk trademarks within the legal part. But if you're talking about marketing or, other areas, brand management, can you tap into Ohio University's sports management program has a lot of us have graduated from there to get our master's, and, tap into us and have us come talk to a class, have us come teach. And especially now with NIL, I feel like right now with NIL is a great opportunity for young professionals to look at the licensing space as it relates to NIL. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a great segue for us to try to get more individuals in. But I know that both of us have really reached out and tried to talk and explain and share, how you get involved.
Yeah. I spoke at a couple classes at the University of Indianapolis because ironically, David Pateson, who was my boss at Sam Houston, was a professor at the University of Indianapolis for a few years. And so I came to speak to some of his sport management classes. Mm-hmm. That is, you mentioned about, how do we find people to become interested? And I think talking our big part of our job is education. Mm-hmm. We have to do it all the time, especially internally. Because people don't understand, may not even know what a brand guideline looks like. They may not understand what a marketing lockup looks like.
Clear space.
Clear space.
Pantone colors.
Exactly. So, I think every single day we are educating someone. Yeah. And it's actually really fun when students, because we also have several interns or part-time employees. It's always fun when they become interested, and I just love telling them about it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even beyond the marketing aspect of licensing, the role, you're this conduit to campus, and you're touching every department and every group that exists across the brand, if you think about it that way. And with that, there's a lot of revenue that also falls under the belt of a licensing director that you're responsible for and you're driving. Mm-hmm. There's just so many different hats you wear as an LD. There
are. And the revenue generation part is becoming most important with the state of athletics right now. And so I always felt like in the past, athletic departments didn't factor in licensing revenue as an opportunity to generate more revenue. And especially for licensing programs who don't sit in athletics. A lot of times it's hard for us to get at the table and say, hey, you did this baby crawl contest at, halftime of a game. we could have helped you with prize packs for that. And, we have plenty of licensees that have youth products, and they just, right. And we could help with alleviating some pain on your budget. Because our licensees are always willing to help and get that recognition as well. And if we need to tie them into some type of sponsorship and work with athletics, MMR partner, mm-hmm. We can do that. We can make that connection. But I just don't. I feel like just now, athletic departments are really starting to look at, there's this licensing revenue over here that can be, expanded upon, and if we worked collaboratively together, we could generate more revenue. And I think that's where we're starting to trend mm-hmm. now.
I agree, especially with NIL. Mm-hmm. And yes, 100%.
Yeah. Of all the pain points with NIL, I will say the one thing that's one of the things that's been great about NIL is it has put a spotlight on licensing.
Right. Yep.
And it has had people that wouldn't ask us questions before start to ask questions. Yeah. And especially when it comes to IP and the school's IP. And I think it has really helped propel licensing in the eyes of those within athletics. And so our next step is for them to look at us again, not to say, no, you can't use our IP with that, but how can we work together to use our IP? Because we all have the same goal, especially like within the Big Ten, we're all so competitive. We want to be the top revenue generating, royalty generating Big Ten school, right?
I would imagine there's some bragging rights associated with that.
And so
800.
And so, it's how can we do that?
Yeah.
How can we help? Because we all have the same goal.
Yeah.
We all want to.
You're all playing for the same team.
We're all playing for the same team. We all like to see dollar signs, multiple dollar signs, maybe a little couple M's after some numbers or something. But yeah, it's. I think that's where I'm seeing licensing going now.
Yeah.
I think NIL definitely put a spotlight on licensing, and people are starting to be like, royalties. Now I'm kind of getting what that is. That's not just with music royalties.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're forecasting, thinking about NIL, which this started about 5 years ago now, really going through, I remember all of the classes we've sat through at all of the winter symposiums and like the learning. What's the next 5 years? Like, how will this reshape trademarks and licensing programs on campuses?
Yes. We're not at status quo yet. Mm-mm. We're definitely not at status quo yet. I think there's still a lot on the horizon. I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe player association talk, or how do the conference offices manage maybe more of the NIL and individual conference member schools IP when it's associated with NIL. Will we shift more to that professional sports model? Group licensing, I think, will change also with that. And so, I don't think we're even close to status quo. I think there's still a lot to be figured out. Mm-hmm. I still think there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think we still got a long way to go with NIL. I think the only thing that hasn't changed is, for us at Michigan State, and I would say probably for the majority of the schools, we still want NIL to be about the student athlete. Mm-hmm. And we still want it to be an opportunity for the student athlete to earn what they should earn on their name, image, and likeness. And, that there's still been opportunities where the school's IP has taken a back seat a little bit, and we have really pushed the student athlete to say, develop your brand, develop, what you want out of this, and make sure that it meets your goals and matches your goals and those kind of things. And again, that's part of the education part of it that Kimberly was talking about. Mm-hmm. So we're also educating those student athletes to talk about, there will come a day that you're not at this institution anymore, but your brand will still carry you. And you still want your brand to carry you onto that next step and, tell that brand story. And when we talk about brand to the student athlete, we talk about you being your own best brand ambassador. And so we educate from that brand perspective and trying to get them to integrate their own brand more.
Well, and thinking about, the brand perspective at the institutional level, you've got athletics, you've got the academic side at both of your institutions, world reputations for success in athletics and academics. How do you balance within, managing the brand, the two different cultures, if you will, that exist on the academic side and the athletic side, and bring it all together?
That's a great question.
Or attempt to.
Yeah, that's a great question. At the end of the day, we say we're all Spartans.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're coming from the academic side or the athletic side.